I am now joined by Dr. Jamie Williams, a Davenport Central grad, Quad Cityan, true and true. Jamie, thank you for taking a little bit of time to talk to me about this historic moment with Roger going into the Hall of Fame. Let's first start off about when you and Roger met. When was the first time you met Roger and kind of started hanging out, or I guess he started hanging out with you because you're actually a year older than him?
That is correct. And I protected him from the bullies. That is a fact, right? So that's the person you go out and block for, forever, right?
Yep.
So let me keep these linebackers off you. Roger, when I think he transferred to Jefferson Elementary, and we had freaking studs at Jefferson. It makes me laugh because it was so. When you got there, you had to be able to run fast. You had to be able to play kickball. You had to be able to handle yourself on King of the Mountain when we had those big snow drifts and we
Yep.
got recess and we're who's going to stay on the top, and then dodgeball. And Raj came in and immediately you saw his athleticism because that was kind of the landmark for Jefferson because Jefferson obviously fed into JV Young, which fed into Central High, and
Yeah.
and then we had a park in the middle of all of that that was Harrington Park, and it was packed. I mean, that's where the girls were, that's where the basketball was, and it was a great place to meet because it was right in the middle of the neighborhood. So you
Yeah.
were coming from all these different places, and then obviously, as a German town, we had parks. You didn't have to go look far for a park. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I met Raj when he transferred over to Jefferson, and immediately his athleticism, was like this little dude can go. You know what I'm saying? So
Uh,
it was cool.
did you guys hit it off right away? Were you friends right away, or was there that competitiveness? Because I know you're very athletic and probably wanted to win, and he was the same way.
Well, not really because that we were symbiotic. You know what I'm saying? It was I was on offense, he was on offense. You know what I'm saying? I was taller and I was blocking for him, or if he was playing quarterback that time, he's throwing it to me, or if I'm playing quarterback, I'm throwing it to him. So we never really had, and both of us were what I would consider, good guys.
Mhm.
So there was no angst, between us. It was competitive, but we're representing Jefferson, right? And none of the guys in that group were like the guys, in the back of the school trying to smoke cigarettes. We didn't. No, we didn't have that. Everything was about athletics.
Mm.
Who's getting faster? Who's got the PF Flyers? The new tennis shoes. Who could do a wheelie on with their bike? I mean, it was very simple. It was very simple stuff that we when you look back you say, well, that's how we became good athletes.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? It's the things we were doing. We're so active. Roger was hyperactive, and
Mhm.
so that translates into four quarters. That
Mhm.
translates into pinning somebody on the mat, right? Um, and or running over high hurdles. I mean, all those things as you grow up, you transfer that energy.
Mhm.
All those things we were doing, we were working out. Like if we at Jefferson, I can remember we would have to do square dancing, right? And man, we was like on it, man. If we were playing, we are gonna be the best square dancer. We'd have the presidential, health award or whatever you gotta do. How many push-ups you can do? How many pull-ups can you climb a rope? Man, we took that stuff serious. And when I look back, I'm saying, if we didn't do that, if we were sitting around just playing video games, and we didn't have a bunch of video games. I think we had Pac-Man or something, but even our games were competitive. If it was ping pong, if it was, you may not, you're a little younger than me, but you may not remember um, uh, roller skating.
Mhm.
Man, I mean, we were just going around. We were going around dancing. We were going like the guys at the roller derby. We were flying around, and
Yeah.
it was so competitive. And then of course, I'm gonna jump a little bit here, but then the Jackson Five came along, So everybody had to do those moves, and then the and then obviously disco.
Yeah.
And so we were active. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. We were active. And let me just, this is a precursor to getting into high school, but our coaches, our gym teachers back in those days, those dudes were good, man. They were good about fundamentals. Don't just put your foot here, get your hand here, boom, boom, boom. Look at what you're trying to catch. That's that kind of stuff. That's Jefferson.
Yeah. When did you realize that you guys were tight, were close, good friends?
Oh, well, that was pretty easy, man, because we all lived in the same neighborhood. We all hung out at Harrington Park. And if you were athletic and you had a smile on your face, you usually connected. I mean, we all go to movies together. We go down to LeClaire Park, you know what I'm saying? But Roger and I got to give it time. We were two of the guys that said, well, we're going to run the hills first and we'll meet you guys down there. We'd get that workout seriously, man, as a young cat. And then as we got into JV Young, coaches start talking to us about, if you really want to be good, you got to do this, you got to do that. And him and I listened and we did it.
When you
So
got to when you guys got when you got to Central, obviously you're a year ahead of him. I know he played
yeah, I
varsity.
mean, you're skipping, man. No, stop. You can't do that. You can't skip. You skip JV Young. How you
JV
gonna do
Young.
that, man? Come on,
Okay.
man.
So
On
was
JV,
that
on
when you
forevermore. On
was
JV. We were okay, just like Iowa, right? So that was JV, man. That's the deal. That's what got us ready for high school.
okay?
Skip that.
Was
Yeah,
was
yeah.
that
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
was JB Young when you guys first stepped on the football field together then?
No, it was actually it was actually Jefferson where we played flag football. We didn't
Okay.
play. We may play tackle in the grass with each other, but
Mhm.
as a school, we have flag, and that's how you learned, down and outs, and you learned, the double cross, and you learned the sweep and all that stuff, and you learned to move your body. You wasn't worried about people hitting you because when you're
Mhm.
young, you don't need to hit. You need to move your feet, and that was the thing that we did. And guys that can move their feet were the best players. Then we go to JV, and that's where in ninth grade we couldn't play football in eighth. We had to put on pads in ninth grade,
Right.
and that's when we first started doing it. So Raj played with the lower level first, but we watched them when we were all watching each other, right? We didn't play
Yeah.
with the ninth graders, eighth graders. It wasn't until we got to high school where you could get pulled up or whatever, right? But
Sure.
we because it was about winning the relays against the other schools, be it Sutlo, be it Washington, whatever. We had to win those games. And then obviously we grew up in Iowa. So I tell everybody, you grew up in Iowa, you learn how to wrestle in kindergarten. You got young ladies, they teach them how to put people in the cradle. So Roger was very, very, very good at that. And he was one of those guys. I got too tall for it, but him and a number of guys that went on to win state, those guys wrestled all the time, and Roger was very good at it. And I think part of that was because of Curtis, who probably taught him a few moves, put him in the
Mhm.
guillotine and all that stuff. But I think back in retrospect a lot about that because when we went to college, they were like, well, how'd you guys learn all this in Iowa? How'd you guys get this? You guys supposed to be city dudes, No, we grew up in Iowa, but we learned our fundamentals there and our competitiveness.
Sure.
So, so yeah. Now,
What?
no, what? Let me just say this: Roger, in his group, in his seventh grade group, his eighth grade group, his ninth grade group, he was the dude. I
Mm.
mean, everybody knew that, right? He was the
Sure.
dude. He had some talent. They had a lot of talent. Um, but my group that's ahead of him, we were freaking loaded.
Mm.
And then the group above us they were kind of loaded too. So Roger had to compete all the time. He
Mhm.
could never sit back because there was dudes like Tony Roberts, Mickey Sis, Ira Kaufman, Jeff Walker, Gilbert Bailey, all these dudes, man, Gary Pearl, these dudes, Richard Hazlett. You kidding me? I
Yeah.
mean, these dudes were freaking shot out of cannons, man. And Roger had to keep up with that. He had to keep up with it, and he did a great job.
Do you think because of those guys, yourself in that class that you were just talking about, that kind of pushed him and maybe even made him better?
No freaking question.
Mm,
I would start with Curtis though. Curtis was the one that
yeah.
was determined. He was doing things. He was carrying Central. Him and Kevin Case carrying Central on their back, and we were watching, right? And so Roger took it serious, and because he was a year under, he wanted to be with us, right?
Mhm.
And let me let me give you a quick Roger story, like off the field, because it's not just going to practice. That's part of it, but it's what you're doing in between that time. So we were always, you know, figuring out stuff and trying to, because the parents were like, just come home before it gets dark, right? And so
Mhm.
we're going to a movie. So everybody's going to a movie. Everybody couldn't phone home and say, hey, give me some money to go to the movie. You had to figure out how to get the money. So we would pool our money together and say, we went to the drive-in. So
Mhm.
and nobody was like, hey, you pay yourself. We all are a group. We'll put it in so everybody can get popcorn, soda, and we go to the movie. So we're going to a drive-in. This is one of my favorite Roger stories, is that we're going to drive, and Roger was with our group, and he was the youngest, you know, in that
Mhm.
group. And Rogers was like, okay, man, um, we're gonna okay, so we don't have enough money, man. If we get in, pay for everybody, how are we gonna get popcorn and big soda? And we said somebody says, well, maybe if we put one of the guys in the trunk. And we're like, in the trunk, right? And Roger's like, I'll do it. So we said, okay, man. So we put him in the trunk, and I'm sitting there because I've always been a nice guy. Dang, if he gets bumped around, so we drive in there, like don't watch any potholes, and Rogers in the back, and we go out. Obviously we go out to the outskirts of Davenport because that's where the drive-ins were. And so
Right.
we get out there, and I'm sitting there going, man, I hope he's okay. I hope he's okay. So we get in for free, get him in for free. We go up, we park, then we open the open the truck, and Roger jumps out. He's like, "That was so cool! Oh my god, that was the best!" And I'm sitting there going, "Okay, dude, you're freaking nuts." And and that just showed a lot about his personality, like just being on the team, just being one of the guys. He was like, "I'll sacrifice, I'll do whatever." And of course, we made sure he got his big popcorn and his big soda, right? But that played out his whole life, that kind of attitude. Yeah.
When he was in high school, I know he didn't start right away because, like you said, there's a lot of guys he had to earn his spot. Did you see that in him where he was earning that spot and getting better along the way until it was his time to shine, which I believe wasn't even until his senior year because he broke his
As a
leg his
senior.
junior year,
That's
right?
it. That's correct. That's correct. Yeah, we would have if he wouldn't have got hurt his junior year, my senior year. I definitely think we would have had a run for the state. He's had to move some guys around and things like that, and he Roger could play defense too, and
Mm-hmm.
so it was one of those things where we lost a lot there. I think we lost somebody else as well going into it, but when Roger was a sophomore, everybody knew that he's the class of his class, that he's the dude, that he's the next, right? And Roger never blinked, never did anything. He just whatever I can do to help the team. He wasn't pouting, he wasn't doing anything like that. But when you have he got brought up to varsity my junior year, and he's got Tony Roberts, Mickey Sis, uh, Jeff Walker, um, Gary Pearl, I'm missing somebody, and
Mm-hmm.
that was in front of him,
Right.
right? And so they put him behind Richard Hazlett at wingback, right? Who was the future, 100-yard dash champ for the state and the 200 and the 400. And they put Roger behind him, and I was like the only tight end in the area that pulled like a guard, and I pulled from my position with the wingback, and man, man, you're off to the races. And Raj would handle that. The Rich would come out, Roger would come in, and he's off to the races. I mean, we knew he was going to be the truth. But he's in front of the state, the fastest dude in the state, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then he's running behind me, and I could put some guys on the ground pretty easy. But anyway, it was a blast, and Roger was part. He loved to win, so he was part of that, and we knew he was going to be the next. So the most disappointing thing is when he broke his leg.
Yeah.
And
Um,
I would tell you this: when recruits would come around, I don't care if it was Notre Dame, Penn State, USC, it didn't matter. Whoever came around talking to me, I'd say, "Hey, you got to check out Curtis Craig's brother. You got to check out Roger Craig. You got to check." And then I kept
mhm.
telling Osborne that as well. And I said, "Just watch." I said, "Just watch. This dude is so good." They said, "Really? You think he's doing better than Curtis?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I don't know about that, but I know he's freaking good, right?
Mhm.
And he can tote the pill, man, and he can catch it. A lot of people didn't know that. I
Right.
mean, when we played ball around Roger was playing receiver. He could do anything. He could play quarterback. He could catch. He could do all those things. But coaches would use him specifically for this thing,
Right.
and when he could do more. So that was I would tell you, Corey, it was good times. It was good times to be in school because you're not going to go through Central and graduate and not have an education. Not
Mhm.
happening. I mean,
Yeah.
it was big time, man. It was tough, but it was big time. And then we had the fun stuff.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And then
Yeah.
we had the winning deal. I mean, think about it. I mean, we won in synchronized swimming. We won in debate. We won in the cheerleading contest. We won in wrestling. We won in baseball.
Yeah.
We won in basketball. I mean, we were like what kids dream of. But
Right.
it was very competitive because we had 2,500 students.
Sure. How much of an influence do you think you had on getting Roger or Roger going to Nebraska?
That's good. That's good, man. You've been doing your homework. Okay, so Roger was committed to being good, and I always liked that. I had friends that like, hey man, let's go work out, let's go shoot basketball, let's go do, and they're like, man, it's too hot out, man. It's not Roger. Roger, let's go, right? And so I always had this affinity for him because he wanted to be, at the higher level, and so I told him, don't worry about the broke leg. I said, look, I'm going to put your name out there and just do your thing. And
Mhm.
so I knew Iowa was going to win him, right?
Right.
And Iowa wanted me, but they weren't winning. And then they bring in Hayden Fry, and this dude bringing in, a resume, right? And they were hot to trot for Roger. And so Roger uh, could have obviously he could have played anywhere. But I go to Nebraska and I told Coach Josh, I said, dude, not dude, I'm sorry, I said, Coach, hey, this is Roger. I'm telling you, just I see our backs. Roger, you need to get him. You need to get him. So Roger calls me, and this is we didn't have camera phones, cell phones, man. He called me, man. He picked up the regular phone, comes and said, Jamie, hey, I think I'm gonna go to Iowa. Now I loved Iowa. Iowa was good, really good program. And I said, hey man, that's good. It doesn't matter where you go because you're gonna be good. You're gonna be good. You just keep doing. You're gonna be good. I says, and Iowa's great school, man. Not far from home. I said, but you have to consider this. Who the heck is going to block for you like I do? And Roger paused. And he goes, yeah, man. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And so he signed with Nebraska. And again, that took guts because look, we had bats. We had Jarvis Redwine, we had I Am Hip, we had Rick Burns, we had Craig Johnson, we had this whole list of guys, and then we get Rozier later, and we always had backs. And Roger was not afraid of that competition,
Mhm.
and he came in. Now, obviously, he went to Iowa, he would have dominated and had a great career. But I thought that was very smart for him to come because we were going to bowl games every year, play for the national championship 3 times. Um, so it was a great move by Roger, and I
Mhm.
think because it was tough, I think that made him stronger. Like they said, iron sharpens iron. By
Mhm.
the time he gets to the pros, even though he had to alternate with a Heisman Trophy winner, Roger knew what he could do. Right? He didn't come in, oh my God, oh, I hope I make. No, he didn't come in and said, "Tell me what you want me to do. I can catch the
Mhm.
ball. I can run screens. I can run man to man." You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
guess what? I can go vertical when we're on the goal line.
Mhm. Right.
Sorry, man. So
So
it's easy for me to talk about him. You know what I'm
no,
saying? So
that's great. So when he got moved to fullback, you were still at Nebraska when that happened.
oh
I
yeah,
mean,
oh
did
yeah.
you
I
have
was right there. I was
conversation?
in the huddle.
Did
Yeah,
you have Did you have conversations with it? Because I know he wanted to be the guy, but then he's kind of not the guy a little bit there.
a little bit of that. Yeah, and again, we were roommates, right? And when he moved out, I mean, we were still roommates the night before the game, you know, and and so we talk about that stuff. But he never showed any animosity toward Rozier or anybody competing with him. He just said, you know what, I'm going to make plays. I'm going to make plays, and I obviously had no question that he was pro material. And I think the deal was, even though he was alternating or behind a Heisman Trophy winner, um, everybody in the country freaking knew. I
Hmm.
mean, they had the Pony Express down at SMU with Dickerson and the other guy, they had Herschel Walker playing. They had uh, a few other guys that I can't even think of their names now, but that were good backs in the country. I'm
Right.
like, have you guys seen him run hurdles? Have you seen him wrestle? Man,
Yeah.
dude, he's gonna be hard to tackle, period. Because
Yeah.
he's a multi-sport athlete and he's got this warrior mentality and he's got a work ethic that most guys can't compete against because they're too busy wanting to, seeing if their girlfriend's looking at them. That was not that was I'm just being candid with you, man, a long time pro. And Roger didn't have that. Roger's like, man, ooh, let me get the ball, let me go
Yeah.
block somebody, so it was hard for him not to be the guy,
Hmm.
but he knew he's with a team that's ranked number one, two, three, four in the country every year.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So he came to the Niners ready. I will tell you, he was ready mentally, he was ready physically. Yeah, he hurt a little bit on that, but hey, life is suffering, man,
Hmm.
and he know how to deal with it.
So you both get drafted. Was it 83? You both got drafted. Is that right?
Hmm.
What was that like to have two kids from Central get drafted in the same year, and now you're going to both be pros?
It was the pros is big time. That I mean, it's big time. Like you had to earn everything, right? So there's no guarantees. There's still no guarantees, but it was exciting. One, and we wanted to play together because
Hmm.
we always played together. And so when I got with the Oilers and I started doing my thing and he was doing his thing, he's like, man, sometimes we got to get on the same team, man. And I was like, yeah, you're right, man. Because I knew him. There's
Yeah.
other guys who are different. They make it from the East Coast or they're from the South or from the West. They're not like that Midwest guy that I grew up with, right? So so it was exciting for Davenport. It was exciting for Nebraska, to
Hmm.
have two guys that go there. I think a couple quick stories is we finally got a chance to play against each other,
Hmm.
where the Niners came to the Astrodome in Houston,
Okay.
and we got together beforehand. It was so fun because we got to talk about, and I didn't know California. He's telling me all about California, and I'm telling him about Houston and and my high-rise condominium. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, let's do stuff for the Midwest guys, right?
Yeah.
But in the game, what I noticed whenever I was in the game, he would on the bench. He's sitting on the side watching me. And so
Hmm.
when he was playing, I was standing there watching him. And
Yeah.
so the caveat is that he scored in that game, I scored in that game, and both of us were the leading receivers for our teams in
Oh,
that
wow.
game when we played against
Okay.
each other. From
Nice.
Deport, man. Blue
Yeah.
Devils, Blue Devils is ranking, man. And of course, I got in a couple fights, which I usually did, and so it was he loved it. You know what I'm saying? And so uh, he got a big kick out of that. But it was a blast, and Roger, paid the favor back to me when free agency finally
Hmm.
happened, and I started getting recruited by all of these teams, especially because I could catch, and I was really um, what I call an aggressive tight end, you know, a
Okay.
little violence. You know what I'm saying? Little like,
Right.
I'm coming to get you, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what Coach Fox wanted me to do, man. You go
Yeah.
hunt, right? And so Roger, he called me right away and said, Jamie, you gotta come to the Niners. I already told Bill Walsh about you. You gotta come. And I'm like, dude, okay, I'm checking out some teams, but I don't know California. Jamie, I got your back, man. Hey, man, you should be here, man. And I was like, okay. And so they recruited me hard, and then we got together, and it was and we had a lot of fun. You know,
I
so
got
we had a lot of fun.
I got just under 10 minutes left on the Zoom call, so we'll make it quick. But when you guys played together and you win that Super Bowl, again, two guys from Davenport doing big things on a big stage. What was that like?
Uh, that was that was amazing because we would have conversations in the huddle, and Joe Montana was looking over like, "What the heck are you guys talking about? You know what I'm saying? What are you guys talking about?" And Roger would talk about Coach Fox. You know, it's like, remember what Coach Fox said? If you don't do it, who will? You know, and I said, "You're right, man." Boom. And then he'd say something about Coach Osborne. Then he'd come back to Coach Fox, Coach Lebo, or the guys that we had, and we kept that going, and Montana would be like, man, okay, enough of Davenport, okay, enough of Davenport. And so we just carried that. We wore it, man. We were 10 toes down on Davenport for sure.
Nice.
So
To finally see him get into the Hall of Fame, where many people say that's long overdue.
long.
What does that mean to you to see your good friend getting into the Hall of Fame?
Well, it brought tears to my eyes twice, right? And one, he should have been in 20 years ago,
Right.
and he really was a special guy who changed the game. So it's not just stats; it's just, can you change the game? So now today, every back that comes in has got to be able to catch the ball
Mhm.
because of Roger, right? Um, but when he got in, and Ronnie and Charles Haley go to his place, and he finds out, and that was a tear moment for me. And then the
Yeah.
other one was when his wife Vanessa, who great stories about Vanessa, but we can do that another time. But anyway, she's so funny, and she lived in the neighborhood. She lived down the street, so it was kind of cool that he married his high school sweetheart.
Mm.
But when she called and said, "Hey, Raj wants you to present him," and that brought tears to my eyes again. Because in my time, I was like, "He got adult kids; they can do it." Da, da, da. But maybe they're telling dad stories, but I was telling Roger stories.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Sure.
so that was an honor, man. It's just, to be there and be on the stage with him soon is going to be another tearful moment.
Let me ask you about that moment where she asked you and Roger asked you to be that person to introduce him. I mean, you've known him forever. You've known him since elementary school and on up, and you've played with him from elementary school on up. What what did that mean to be that guy? Because he could have asked his brother Curtis, or he could have
Oh
asked
yeah,
anybody,
yeah,
but
yeah. His
you're the
kids.
one that he asked.
Yes, yes. It was you can't write the script.
Mhm.
It's Stranger Things. You know what I'm saying? And which is what I thought Davenport was like growing up, was like Stranger Things, and a little and a little bit of Sandlot, and a little bit of Stand by Me. But anyway, and we were story guys, right? And I think he knew I could tell the story well, and I think he really appreciated me always looking out for him, you know, because he wasn't really a fighter. He was a worker hard, but I was always, you know, standing behind him like, this is my dude, get out of
Yeah.
the way. You know what I'm saying? I was always looking out for him. And he used to tell me this, just a little one. He used to tell me in the game sometimes. He'd say, "Hey, number 30, I'm sorry, number 21, or not 21, no, like number 19. That safety, man. He's getting a little frisky, man." I said, "I got him, Raj. You good? Thank you. I got him." So anyway, we
I
had that going on, man. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, Dr. Jamie Williams, I really appreciate your time.
yes,
I was so glad I got to talk to you, and I'm so looking forward to seeing and hearing from you out in Canton to help
yes.
induct your good friend Roger Craig into the Hall of Fame. So
Yeah,
thank you so
and
much.
the other thing is I'm going to try to get him out for the homecoming as
Cool.
well. It's our 50th anniversary for our state championship, which he was on, and I'm hoping to get him back for that. I think it's a big thing because these are all guys that we knew each other as teenagers, and it could be a big thing to actually go back out to what was formerly Brady Street and is now Roger Craig Stadium.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Awesome. I'm gonna stop our record so we can. I got one more thing I just got to say to you, so but don't need it on.